to the Prophet of Bloom. Woo! Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kat. So I have a really wonderful guest with me today. Her name is Kat Grace. And let me just tell you about Kat for a minute because she's awesome. She's a mystic, she's an intuitive guide, and a holistic healing practitioner. And she explores the deeper psychological, energetic, and spiritual layers of healing. Impressive, right? Her work is especially focused on what happens to us in narcissistic and parasitic relationships and how we can reclaim our energy, trust our own perception again, and come back into relationship with ourselves. So she blends trauma-informed healing, nervous system awareness, energy work, and shamanic practices with a deeply grounded approach to spiritual awakening and transformation. So welcome, Kat. I'm so glad
Thank
you're here.
you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yay. So we're going to talk about parasitic relationships today. And I think it's really important for all of us because obviously we live in a society where parasitic relationships are endemic. I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, we've got the huge parasite of world governments. You know, they're like these giant narcissists trying to control us all the time and gaslighting us and doing all of this stuff to us. So I think a lot of us, and I really include myself in that, don't always even recognize if we're in a relationship like that because it's so normal. It's so normal, right? And you know, and then you have these moments where you wake up and you go, "Oh my gosh, what have I been doing to myself?" So we're going to break it down today. We're going to talk about how to identify these relationships and what we can do to heal ourselves from these relationships. So I'm going to turn it over to Kat now because she's got so much to share about this.
So, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, you will have to talk on here. But I mean, you don't have to. You can't just sit there and smile because you're so cute. But all right. So let's talk. So first of all, Kat, what are some of the ways we can recognize when we're in one of these relationships? Because I know sometimes it just hits you in the face one day and you're like, holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What are the signs you can see? How do you recognize it?
Well, it's always going to show up as a pattern. And one thing I was thinking about just over the past couple weeks was how often do we override what we already know? Like, say we're engaging with someone and we adore this person, you know, so perhaps our lens may be a bit skewed or rose colored, but we'll start seeing this pattern. We'll feel this tension in our body. There's kind of a strange, like buzzing feeling to it. At least that's how I, receive it. And it's like, oh no, they didn't mean that. Oh, they're having a bad day. Oh, maybe I'm being too sensitive. Like, we don't even need them to gaslight us because we are already doing it to ourselves instead of being like, my body's telling me this. I'm going to be curious right now. Okay. And playing with that and not to, become reactive and go after someone, but to honor what's coming up with us without gaslighting ourselves. And then we'll start to kind of see things more as they actually are instead of trying to mold it into something different or judge us or judge ourselves for even observing it or picking up on it. So once that comes up, I think that as adults, we should be able in any relationship to say, hey, I feel hurt. I feel sad. I feel scared, whatever it might be. Saying it in a reasonable way. I feel this. Can you help me understand? Can you support me better? Can you retell that story because something's not adding up? If we cannot ask that or assert how we feel in any type of relationship, what the hell are we doing there? Because that's not relationship if you don't have that safety. That's servitude. And so to me,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
Yes,
there
I
should
do.
be,
I do know
like,
what you mean.
nobody is perfect. Nobody. I fuck up all the time, you know? But it's like everyone's fallible. We know that. But if you can't address an issue, have a reasonable conversation, and both grow and learn from that and repair the rupture, what are we doing? You know? And so these days
Well,
it's like, go ahead.
well, yeah. No, I was going to say, and the thing that I start to notice is that if you say that to someone and they turn it back on you every time, that's when it's really
It's
like,
like,
wait a minute. Oh, and it's not that you don't have,
yeah.
culpability. It's
Yes.
just that they're not willing to take any culpability
Any.
for anything. It's
Nope.
like, no, it's
Nope.
all you.
I
I triggered you. I triggered you because you have healing to do. That's the one I hear a lot. That's the more spiritual people have learned that
yes.
one. It's like, oh, you're triggered.
It's
You must
tricky.
have to
It's
heal.
tricky.
It has nothing to do with the fact that I just treated you really poorly. It's about
Exactly.
you. You need to heal. So yeah.
And it's like we both need to heal. It's not all on
Yes.
me. But it's like
Yes.
almost you see, like, if you, like, some people believe they're beyond reproach, and you can't bring up anything to them without them becoming reactive or twisting it around. And like you said, in the spiritual community, we're all about doing our shadow work. And okay, I'm triggered by this. It's bringing up something, probably from childhood, that I really need to look at and work through. Okay, that's well and good, well and true. But like you said, there's also, they have a part. Like, if they were being ugly to you, that's not just about your wound. Any human being would be like, dude, you can't treat me that way. That doesn't mean that you're
Yes.
like severely wounded, maybe some fine tuning and some shadow work, but it's both parties involved.
Yes. Yes. And so that's one that I always, and like you said, it's a pattern. So it's not that you may have like an incident or something. That's not the same as a pattern, because like you said, nobody's perfect. We
Mm.
all fuck up. None of us have had a really, well, at least none of the people I know. Maybe there are people out there who have had a really good upbringing with people
Who?
who gave them a really great example of how healthy relationships work. But I don't know anyone like
I
that
don't
who
either.
had that kind of an upbringing. maybe there's somebody out there. I'm not saying there's not, but most of us really don't even know when we go out in the world, from when we leave our parents' home, when we leave our family, we don't know what a healthy relationship actually looks
No.
like. So we are going to fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you said, it's the pattern. What's
Mm-hmm.
the pattern? And if you find that there's a reoccurring pattern, that's a really good clue that something is amiss here.
Yeah.
So
Excuse me.
so taking it back to us and what we can do, because we're not here to vilify anyone or to say, these people are bad, because everyone is wounded and we all have our different paths.
Mm-hmm.
And each of us is probably doing the best that we can. And so we don't want to vilify anyone. And rather than saying, oh, these people,
Mm-hmm.
well, before we go into that, though, are there any other signs that you would like to talk about, Kat, as far as like things that you can recognize in a relationship that might, indicate that something is awry here?
Well, yes, I think that it's when their words and actions don't align. And I know, like, something that I had to do a lot of healing around was I, fell in love with someone who could talk a wonderful game. And he was so charming and so kind and so tender, just a sweetheart. But his actions often did not back up those words. And I think, and then, it took time to get to this place, but for so long, it's like, you tricked me. How dare you? And I had a lot of like righteous indignation around it. But then there came this place in my own healing where I was like, I knew that it was bullshit. Like, there was something in the back of my mind that I overrode. I knew that it wasn't adding up. I knew there was a lack of emotional maturity. I knew there was a tad bit of entitlement there, this reckless behavior. I knew it was there, but I didn't want that to be true. And so I think when we get caught up in these dynamics and this person is love bombing us and treating us better than we've ever, been treated before, who's not going to just be like, oh, this is wonderful. I've never had this. And we get taken in. And I think it's like we don't realize that there's something in us that we're looking outside of ourselves for them to fill. And then after those experiences, we get that chance to like heal and look at those aspects so that we don't do that shit again. you know?
Yes.
So there is that lack of alignment. And I do like you said, like we don't want to vilify anyone. But what I feel safe saying is that there is a distortion in their energetic field, but there's also one in ours.
Yes.
To be able to match up. And so
Yes.
it's like these distortions dance with each other, because one person
Yes.
is the energy or the source of fuel, and the other person is there with that straw, just sucking the very life force out of you.
Yes. And you're going, yes, here I am, suck me dry. until one day you go, wait a minute.
Yes.
that wasn't, that's not what I wanted, and I, it's just the thing that gets me over and over and over again. And I want to tell everyone, if you find yourself in that position, because we've all been there.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't even want to count how many times I've suddenly gone, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? This person. And I really love that you brought up that they're not in alignment, like what they say and what they do are two entirely different things, because I think that's a huge red flag that you really have to look at. And like you said, it's really hard sometimes to look at that, because when you just love someone so much and they are, at first, and in these relationships, at first, they may be just you're like, this is my gift from God. Finally,
yes,
this person is in my life and they're wonderful and they're doing all these things that really make me feel fuzzy and warm, and it makes me so happy. And I'm just so grateful that they're in my life. And then it's this very insidious thing. It starts really slowly. They may step on one little boundary and you go, oh, well, it was just one little thing, not a big deal. And then they may push it a little further and a little further and a little further. And one day you wake up and go, holy shit.
Yeah.
What am I doing? Because suddenly all my boundaries have been completely violated.
Yeah.
And it was so insidious. I didn't even I did notice when it was happening, but I thought, oh, no, it's not really that. It's just, this wonderful person would not do that to me. And, maybe they are wonderful, but if they're doing that to you, there's a problem.
Exactly. And something that needs to be addressed. And one thing that I would say is always true, always, and I rarely say that, always true, is that there's no resolution with them, because they're not willing to take accountability for anything. So nothing ever changes. And like you said, it's so tiny at first and just insidious. But then, like, when you do finally speak up, they become reactive or they twist it around. Like, there's no resolution. So not only are they like being, doing a disservice to you, they're doing a disservice to themselves, because they're not going to get the opportunity for introspection and to make a genuine shift or to do deeper healing on their own childhood traumas, so they'll just end up discarding you and they'll move on to the next person. And I've learned, like, as long as to me, it's like this costume that they wear, this persona. And as long as you support and prop up that mirror or mask, or prop up that mask, you're fine. But if you dare hold up the mirror in an accurate fashion and refuse to, like, kiss their ass essentially, if you dare have needs or any feelings or objections to them, they see like who they really are, and they will cut you from their life because they don't like the mirror being held up, and they would rather discard you and move on to the next one than stick around to do repair and learn and grow. That is something that I have seen over and over again. And like you said, like, you'll be like,
Yes.
wow, like, I didn't know that this was going to end up like this, it's just, and it is. And each time it's like it teaches us, oh, yeah, I remember the first time I let them cross my boundary. Oh, I remember the first time I made excuse for their shit behavior. And then you
Yeah.
tell yourself, like, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to
Yes.
honor what comes up instead of overriding it. And so often we go through this period of time where we're really angry with, the person that was feeding on our life force. But at the end of the day, like, we don't have any control over what they do. We gave them access, and so we
Yes.
have some fine tuning to do in our own energy field so that we recognize that shit quicker and quicker. And it's like, goodbye.
Yes.
I don't hate
Yes.
you. You
And
just can't be here.
exactly. And it's like, I get it. I get that you're wounded and I'm really sorry and I love you, but I love me. And so
Yes.
there has to be a point where you say, okay, I'm going to choose me. And
Yes.
I don't deserve to be treated like shit for
Mhm.
just because, whatever.
Right.
And I'm not going to apologize anymore because my feelings are hurt. Because
Right.
that whole turnaround, like, and yeah, some of it is you, like you said, some of it's me. But if we're not working on it equally, if we're not both taking responsibility for what we have created in this relationship, then there
Yes.
is a problem. And if someone isn't at the place in their lives where they can take responsibility for their own actions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then if they have not cut you, it might be time for you to cut them because you're never going to heal it. You're
No.
never going to heal it if one of you is doing all the work and the other one is just, I'm perfect and you must bow to my whims or I'm going to throw a fit or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. So how do we get beyond that? How do we get beyond the place where we are attracting those relationships into our lives? First of all, I guess how do you attract those relationships into your lives? What do those types of people who are narcissists or covert narcissists or parasitic, what do they look for? And it may not be a conscious thing that they're looking around and saying this person, but they're going to feel an attraction to you for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to talk a little bit about what it is, what it is in us that attracts that.
You and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago about how it's nowadays that expert, psychologist was saying it's 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 people are now have like a full blown cluster B personality. That's a significant amount of the population. And so I don't think that you can avoid encountering one of them. I think they're going to try to obtain energy from whoever's going to allow them to have it. And like you said, like, you don't think that, and I don't believe that all of them, anyone diagnosed as a narcissist, I don't believe that they're all completely conscious of what they're doing. They're just doing what works for them,
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so I think that I don't even know if it's so much that we need to guard ourselves as to what we attract in, but we need to more of like honor what comes up for within us when we're interacting with someone, and developing more capacity to trust yourself and to be more aligned with self in order to recognize, like, no, I don't like this feeling. And then, you know, quickly, not making excuses and overriding, what your gut instinct told you, but to address it quickly and calmly. And you'll see exactly what energy you're really dealing with in that person, because they don't like boundaries. They don't like being told no. They don't like being questioned. They don't like being held accountable. It's like this basic stuff, and they don't like any of those things. So if you show up with the expectation, nobody, we're going to talk about this. We're going to address this. We're not going to let it fester. We're going to talk honestly as adults. They're not going to want to do it. So it's like the trash takes itself out. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's just, it really becomes just pure nonsense and garbage. So to me, if you're like, no, we're going to talk about this garbage, and they're like, bye, I mean, the problem solved itself, and then you waste years of your life trying to change them and make excuses for their shit behavior.
Exactly. Yay!
I've been thinking a lot about this.
Well, I have too. I mean, because it's like, and it's just astonishing to think that 1 in 5 or 6 people is a pathological narcissist. That's crazy. And we need to make that distinction too, because most of us have some narcissistic tendencies.
Yes.
But the more introspection that you do, the more you can say, I'm not going to do that anymore, because I don't want to be that person. I'm not that person really at heart. And the other thing is, so like you said, we are going to encounter people like that. And we have to be aware of our own tendencies, I think. And I know for me, I have a tendency to be really codependent. I have a tendency to sacrifice things for the people that I really love. Yeah. And it's not that there's anything wrong with doing that sometimes, once in a while, or, but if it becomes the pattern, again, like you said earlier, if it becomes the pattern that you are always sacrificing for someone else, and they're not reciprocating, then that's a huge red flag. And that's something you really have to watch with yourself. And you have to watch, like you said, you really need to listen. And your body will tell you. I mean, your body really is the seat of your intuition.
Yes.
And your body will tell you. And you said for you, it shows up like a buzzing. For me, it shows up like kind of a stab right in the heart center.
Oh, wow.
And anxiety, just like, and because, and I went through this for years, because I associate that with relationship. It feels normal. I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be anxious when this person is talking to me, because that's just my normal.
Right? Or we think it's butterflies. Oh, it's love. There's magnetism.
I must be really crazy about this person, because I just feel so nervous and freaked out every time I'm around them. And there are good, like fuzzy, yummy, good, upbeat feelings that you get with people, but it's learning to discern that. Is my body going, wait, this is not a safe place? But, it's really hard even sometimes to recognize that, because like I said, if that's your normal, that is your safe place.
Yes. Yes. And with so many of us with CPTSD and, layers and layers of childhood traumas, we learn, like, our nervous system was in that state of, all the time, like some type of shock absorber, just one thing right after another. And so our body registers that as a norm until we train it to see it more accurately, and another thing that what you were talking about reminded me of. I noticed that I start, like, my nervous system feels like I need to rush, like the anxiousness that you talk about, and I feel like my energy gets splintered and I'm all over the place. And I do notice that in the past, the narcissist I was in relation to would be, like, in some form or fashion, like, wanting me to rush, wanting me to be away from myself. And we don't make good decisions when we're not aligned with self, you know?
Yes. That is so true. And I like that you said that, rushing, because I've experienced that too. Like, everything is urgent suddenly. It's everything's urgent, urgent. There's chaos, and it's urgent, and you need to fix this. We've got to fix this right now. And you're like, I've got to
Exactly.
do something for and it's like, wait a minute, and I think, and that's one of the reasons why it's really important to know your own baseline too, like to spend time
Mm,
with yourself. How do I feel normally? Because normally I don't feel rushed. I mean, every once,
mhm.
if I'm late, if I'm running later than I want to or something to go to class or something, but in my normal everyday life, I don't feel rushed. I feel calm. I have
Yes,
I'm a fairly cheerful, happy sort of a
you
person, and I
are.
go through my life and I'm calm. But, then I start, I relationships where I suddenly realize, oh, I'm nervous all the time. I'm worried about this other person.
Yeah.
There's always some sort of crisis. They're having some sort of crisis, or we're having some sort of crisis, or and I can't just be calm and go about my day. I've got to worry about this, and I've got to do something about this, and
Mhm.
I need to, what can
Oh
I
my
do?
God.
What can I do? How can I fix this? I need to
Yeah.
listen some more. I need to do this some more. I need to do that. And it's never enough, and it's never enough. It's like, that's not my normal anymore. So I've
Oh.
started to, but because I've been alone for a long time and really been in my own space
Mhm.
and find, so it's important. I think one of the ways we can learn to discern these things is to really recognize what our own baseline is.
Yes.
I mean, because if you don't know what your baseline is, it's a lot harder to notice when you've been taken out of that alignment, and
Mhm.
you may not notice it for a long time. But in my experience, it'll start out slow, and everything will be fine, and everything will be fine, and then it'll get more and more and more extreme.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
there will be one moment where you go, "Ah, shit."
Yep. Yes.
And it'll all fall into place, and you'll start seeing the pattern as it developed over time. And unfortunately for me, it has often taken like some huge thing where I was just like, ah. And then I was like, oh.
Mhm.
Oh, okay, I understand now. But you know it's like, so I think, I guess one of the things that we need to learn is how to catch it quicker and quicker, like you said. So you can just say, okay, you know, uh, this boundary has been crossed, and it's a very small boundary, but we're going to address it right now.
Yeah.
And and if we can't address it right now, then I guess I know what I need to do about this. Or
Well,
they'll
yeah,
they'll do it for us.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, like, y- I I mean, I adore you, and I consider, like, we have become close friends, and if in my heart, I know that if I did something to hurt you, whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, I want you to bring it up to me to be addressed. So I'm like, oh, damn, I'm so sorry, Kirsten. That was an oversight, or that really was shitty of me. How can I make this right? Like, I don't want to harm you and not make repair. So when I think about someone that, is siphoning energy from someone, they like the conflict. Something in them enjoys it. Something in them needs, an audience, and to stir the pot, and to just do some very bizarre things. They'll do whatever it takes to, get that source of fuel. And I think it's perfectly fine. Like it was uncomfortable at first, but the more I do it, the more I'm like, how did I live any other way before? I can't believe the nonsense that I tolerated. Cause now I'm just gonna ask someone. And if they don't like it, okay, that's fine. We're not in alignment, and that's okay. There doesn't have to be drama or this major blow up anymore, And it
Yeah.
happens. It does happen, but it takes practice. And I swear there was a few months last year where it was just like I was looking around at friendships I'd had for like 20 something years, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I not see this? Because I had finally reached that stage of healing where it was like the rose colored glasses were off on everyone, including myself. It's like, I am willing to look at whatever I fucking have to stop this crap. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm too old. I want to be happy. I don't want this bullshit in my life.
Right?
You know?
Seriously. And I feel the same way. And I would hope that you would do the same with me if I hurt
Yeah.
your feelings. And I know you will.
Yeah.
and I appreciate that because I'm like you. I don't want to harm people, especially people I really care for. I don't want to harm anyone. I just want to have a decent relationship and a decent friendship where we can share each other's joy and share each other's sorrow and do it in a way that we're supported and we're in harmony and we're in alignment because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's alignment. And you'll notice the more and more you become aligned with yourself, the
Mhm.
more and more you'll recognize the people that are not in alignment with you. And it's not that they're bad people
No,
necessarily. I mean,
no.
I think most pathological narcissists, not all, but most of the pathological narcissists I have known have not been serial killers or even meant anyone harm. They're just not in a place able to, they're very fragile. And if they
Yes. Yeah.
look at, it scares the holy heck out of them to think that they may have not been perfect. And it's just not something that they can look at. And
No.
and they might even learn to say things that lead you
Yeah.
to believe that they may be looking at it, but the behaviors don't change. And so when that's a big thing you really have to look at is, do the behaviors change? If they say, oh yes, I will look at that, do they actually look at it and change, or do they just go back to the same thing they were doing before? And so it's really, I mean, yeah, it's just it's just learning, it's just learning and really being aware. I think, ultimately, I mean, we talk about a lot in the spiritual community about being present. And this is a place where we really need to be present with our relationships. When someone says to you, feelings, really being present with that. And instead of taking it as like, you hate me and you're being just saying, just saying, oh, okay, I hurt your feelings, and I'm sorry, and try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. Well, if you did that to me, I'd be hurt too. And
Right.
and so really looking at that, and nothing's going to be perfect, and everybody's going to screw up, and there are going to be moments when it's really difficult in a relationship, because I think it's harder for me anyway to look at someone and say, okay, this is why I'm hurt. It's
Mhm.
gotten easier and easier, but it's still, especially with someone that you're just getting to know, to actually like admit and say, okay, I'm hurt and this is why I'm
Yeah.
hurt, because I'm always afraid of the reaction I'm going to get. Now, as I get
Yeah.
to know people better and I realize I can say that in a safe way, then it's not as freaky. But I know that that's, for me, has been one of the big things about establishing healthy relationships, just being able to speak my truth and not be terrified that someone's going to freak out on me. Because I've, as most of us have grown up in situations where
Yeah.
a lot of times if I spoke my truth, I was,
Ooh.
yeah. It's like, no, you're not going to speak your truth here.
Right.
And I'm going to make sure that you never do it again. 'Cause
Right.
it's gonna be so uncomfortable. So,
Mhm.
getting past that within ourselves so we can actually
Yeah.
address that. Because, sometimes, and I really do think that sometimes we just, everyone, whether you're more on the narcissistic side or more on the codependent side or whatever, everyone kind of falls into that unconscious dynamic that they're used to.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it's really just becoming present and aware,
Mm.
and really noticing, and like you said, bringing it back again to your body and your intuition. Your body does know,
Mhm.
and learning to identify those things. And I think practices, I do a lot of Kriya yoga, and I do yoga asana, and that's what's really helped me to establish a baseline with my nervous
Yeah.
system where I can identify if it gets out of whack.
Mhm.
Because for the longest time, I really couldn't. I really didn't know. I really didn't know my nervous system was out
No,
of whack. And I think, all of us, because
we didn't
because
know.
let's face it, yeah, it is good to know. And when you're a kid and your nervous system is just continually out of whack
Yeah.
because you're not in a place where you're emotionally safe or whatever, or physically safe, or whatever way you're not safe, it's really taking it back to that and finding that baseline, that
Mhm.
nervous system baseline.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
No, and I was thinking like it was oh my gosh, this is like embarrassing to admit. I mean, I think it was like 6 months of meditation before I ever knew what a calm nervous system felt like. And it's like a lifetime of just, one thing after another. And it's like, I'm not thinking about a nervous system. I'm trying to survive, and then you have this spiritual awakening and you start doing this inner work. And like you said, like being with yourself and discovering your baseline. And I'd spent 40 years not being with myself, probably being dissociated at least half of it, just to survive. And um, you know, I think that like our world is designed to keep you distracted and to keep you anxious and to keep your energy splintered and to traumatize the hell out of you just by turning on the nightly news. And so everybody's
Yes.
running around in a state of some state of dissociation. So how do they even know what that baseline is that you talk about?
Yes.
Hmm.
Exactly. And I don't think you should be embarrassed that it took you 6 months. My gosh. You know, I'd say that's pretty good because,
Like
because when yeah, no, seriously, because I don't even know how long it took me before I finally recognized, and when I came to yoga, I had just gotten out of a physically, emotionally, mentally abusive relationship with a complete psycho.
Yeah.
And bless his heart.
Bless
and
your heart.
and so, and it took me a long time, but I started to notice, just from doing the asana practice, which is great because it gets into because it does realign your nervous system. And I highly recommend it for people who are trying to realign their nervous system. It's not the only thing you can do, but it really does help because you're stretching your fascia and so forth. And we hold so much
Oh my God.
stress, like,
Yes.
just everywhere in our bodies. And you
Mm,
may not even know you're holding it. I mean, I
mm,
remember the first time I did this one yoga pose where we were on our shoulders, you know,
oh,
And I was like, my shoulders are so painful. I can't even put pressure here. I had
Wow.
no idea. I had
Mhm.
no idea how stressed out I was. Just like you said, because the world is designed to keep you stressed and splintered and going in 17 million different directions.
Mhm.
And while you're doing that, you have completely abandoned
Yep.
right here and your own intuition
Mhm.
and your own soul and who you are,
Mhm.
because you're so focused outside. It's the difference between being in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is
Yes.
focused within and the place where you heal, and then your sympathetic nervous system, which is
Mm.
focused outward, and it's fight or flight. And we're in fight or flight so much.
Yes.
And the thing is, when you're in fight or flight, you're focused outward and you're ready to either fight or run, right?
Right.
And so we're getting all of this adrenaline, you know, and most of the time we're not fighting a tiger. We don't
No.
have to run away. We just have to suddenly recognize, where are we? Because, you know, so that's when you're in your sympathetic nervous system. And it just really skews everything, and it builds up because we didn't
Yeah.
use that adrenaline the way it was
Mhm.
intended, which was to, either start punching someone in the nose or running. It's like,
I'm just gonna start
just
running.
focus in here, and you're sitting in your office going, ah.
Yeah.
And so you just get into this place where that's just your normal. And so any practice that you can do that takes you
Mhm.
into your parasympathetic nervous system is extremely helpful in realigning, and looking at what's going on around you. What do I need to cut out of this life, because I don't want to feel like this all the time.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you can cut everything that makes you feel that way right away. Hopefully eventually you can, but just
Mhm.
noticing, well, how can I change that? And maybe I can't cut this out of my life. Maybe it's a person or a situation that you can't cut out of your life immediately, but you can look at ways to make it, right? Yeah. Then again, you can be like me and just, go, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Take off
Wait,
running.
how am I
Like,
going
I'm
to pay
not
my
doing
bills
this.
now? I don't know. I don't always recommend the extremes that I've gone to in my life, but you got to do what you got to do, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, what are the ways that you use to get into your parasympathetic nervous system, Kat?
Well, like you said, like the awareness of it and to know your baseline. But for me, one of the most simple things is just placing my hand on my heart and my other hand on my diaphragm and just taking 30 seconds to come back to myself and focus on my breath and to remind myself I am safe, you know? And just sitting in that, and then I can kind of shift into gratitude, and the longer I dwell on that gratitude and breathe into that, then I just feel warm and fuzzy and I'm fine, and I don't want to leave my body because it's warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
um
And yeah, no, I think that's a really good one. And that's yeah, I think that's a really good one, and it's a simple one. It's not quite as intense as going through intensive yoga training for 3 years.
I know. Like, we need to do it your way, but we don't have the money.
And crying on the floor while your teacher stands over you and says, "Do just one more back bend," and you're going, "Ah!" Because releasing all that, and you will. And I do want to say that a lot of times when you first get into your parasympathetic nervous system, things will happen that will make you think maybe you're not doing the right thing. Like
Yes.
maybe you'll just burst into tears.
Mhm.
um, Maybe you'll get really, really full of rage.
Yes.
But it's those things coming up and out, because when you suppress all of that stuff, it needs to come out.
Yes.
And because that's what makes your body sick. That's what makes you stressed out.
Yep.
That's what makes you not feel good. And so it needs to come out. And sometimes it's a little bit, it's scary. I mean, this shadow work stuff, it's scary sometimes, because this stuff comes up, and we've not really been taught in our society how to deal with that kind of emotion. That's why we suppress it, because it's like, I don't even want to go there. But
Right?
you have to go there, and you don't have to revisit the thing that caused that emotion. But it is good to process it and bring it up, and you may need to cry. You may need to shout. I don't know how many times I've been grateful that I live in the woods and I don't have any close neighbors, because I need to have a little screaming fit right now.
Yes.
But these things are important, and it's important to be able to deal with those emotions, and to recognize that you're not having, you're not going crazy. You're not going crazy. You have to deal with those emotions, and sometimes that means you have to cry. Sometimes that means you have to shout. I would encourage you not to take that out on the people in your life.
No.
Or your pets, but but you do have to let it out sometimes, and that's just part of the process. And that will take you back to your baseline a lot quicker. The more you can get rid of those clogged up emotions, wherever they're lurking in your body and in your mind, and just bring them up and out and let them go, because it really oh Kathleen is with us. Hey, Kathleen.
Yes.
Woo. All right, so yes, well, so Kat, I think we're going to wrap it up here in a minute, because I know you've got an hour. So is there anything that you would like to say in conclusion to this?
Well, just like touching on what you were saying, it is so important to allow the charge of all of those emotions that have accumulated through the years to come up. And it, like you said, it is scary. And it is important to have like someone to witness that and to reassure you and allow you to have like that safe space to be able to process those things. And I was thinking, like, I went through a divorce last year, and I remember like there were so many things that I didn't get to say, and so many feelings that I didn't get to have while I was in relation with him. And so after I'd moved out, I thought I was kind of losing my mind, because I would just like this in my living room and have a conversation with him. And it was like all these, animations. And then I would get upset, and then I would just like kick the air like Jackie Chan it, and I was like, I'm a nut job, but I would always feel better afterwards. And I didn't even recognize I was being guided to do somatic work, and there was so much body motion going on. And it was like, oh my gosh, the cortisol levels began to drop, the tension began to drop, and came back to the baseline faster, as you said. Now, I felt like a whack job in my living room, but it did the trick. And like you said, I do not recommend ever taking that emotion or physicality towards the other person. Number one, they probably don't care. And number two, it's not for them. It's for your healing,
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's perfect. And you're not in that job. And there are, when you're in relationship with a narcissist, there are often times where you want to say something, but they can't receive it anyway.
No.
And like you said, it's not really for them, it's for you. So, say it, but, don't expect it to have an effect on them, even if you do say it to them, because they don't care, and they probably can't even really hear you.
No.
And so, so
it's not in the place to receive it. So it's like,
Yeah.
Processing your emotions is the gift to yourself. Doesn't have to do anything with
Yes.
them. No.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So we're going to wrap it up. We do have a few more minutes, but I want to, I'm really grateful that you joined me today, Kat. And there's so much to this. And Kat just, was it yesterday or the day before, just released a video about cutting energetic ties. And I think that's something, I kind of wanted to cover that, but I think we don't have time to cover that today. But she's covered it really well in her video on, and yes, Kathleen, thank you. That's right. The ultimate goal is for you to receive you. That's beautiful. I love the way you said that.
I love
So,
that.
isn't that good? So, what I was going to say is, watch Kat's video about cutting energetic cords, because that's another part of this. And a lot of times, like, if you're holding something, and this is something it really helped me with, I just want to say that video really helped me with, if you're holding something that you want the other person to see, that's going to keep you energetically connected to that person. And you have to, when you're dealing with people like this, you have to recognize that you can be the best communicator in the world. It's not going to matter how well you communicate, because they can't receive it.
Yeah.
And it's really sad and it's really frustrating, but it just is the way it is. And maybe they'll get to a place where they can receive it, and maybe they won't, but stop being attached to them recognizing you or seeing you or understanding where you're coming from, because it's it's just hard, it's just hard for you, because so anyway.
Yeah,
so
and the anger keeps us accorded to them as well.
That's true.
And it's like, these days I just seriously visualize someone with this huge Slurpee straw trying to feed on my life force, and I'm just like, nope, not doing it. Don't hate you.
Yeah.
Just not doing it.
Yeah. It's like, stop, let it go, let go of it. And as Kathleen said, I think this is great, you can't change a catalyst. It's true. And ultimately, all of these relationships are catalysts for our own growth, and we have to really respect that and honor that, and honor the people who helped us to grow in this way. And and love them. Just sometimes the way to love someone is from afar, because for whatever reason,
very far.
Yeah, very far. Like, and doesn't mean you don't love them, but it's just like, I love you, and expect that from other people. And if it doesn't happen, then they're maybe not bad people, but they're just not in alignment with you, right? So I'm so grateful for you, Kat, for you coming on today. And I'm so grateful for everybody who is watching us now. Please like and subscribe. This is my new channel, The Prophet of Bloom. Yay! So please like and subscribe. If you would like to schedule a healing session with Kat. Oh, look, there's Luna. Hi, Luna.
Hi. Hello.
If you would like to schedule a session with Kat, look in the description of the video. All the information is there. If you'd like to schedule a session with me, the information is down there. We are very grateful for all of you today, and thank you so much. And sending you all so much love from the edge of the Ozarks. Bye.
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 Bye.